Hey guys, it's Catherine and this is Little Bits of Heaven Homestead. This is my milk dough Tootsie. And I am sitting here milking her out and I thought I'd pop in and share something with you guys as I'm doing this. She's getting a little frustrated with me because I'm taking a little bit longer than I normally would. So bear with me as she gets frustrated with me. So what she's most likely going to do is when I grab her teeth, she's going to kick a little bit. I have not been milking her. She has kids that are almost 10 months old. They were born first week of December of last year, and I just rehomed them. So a friend took them to butcher. We butchered two other of our goats this weekend, and then I rehomed another goat to a friend last week. So my focus and really my frame of mind this week has been all about homestead numbers. And there is an ongoing joke in homesteading, farming, chicken, you name it communities about homestead math, chicken math, goat math, fill in the blank, whatever math. And it's a real thing. It's something you have to pay attention to, especially if you're just getting into this lifestyle, because it's so tempting to add numbers. Things like goats, they have a long time in order to mature. So if you're going to get baby goats with the anticipation of milking, you've got potentially 2 years invested easily as you wait for your baby goats to grow up, be able to breed them. They have a 5-month gestation period, and then you can get into the milking. I have done something, it's known as a kid share, and I've been very strategic and intentional about this, is I have left my kids on my does. And so what that's done is it's given me the freedom to not be tied to teats every day. So because I did rehome her kids this week, just 2 days ago, I am now, if I am interested in maintaining her in milk, I'm now tied to her teats every day. In order to keep her milking, I will have to be out here physically milking her myself every day, where up until now, the last 10 months, she's had kids on her, and I can just kind of float around doing whatever I feel like. So if I want milk, then I separate the kids overnight and bring her in the morning and milk her. More often than not, I don't need the milk, so I let the babies have it. It's been a beautiful system. So chances are really good I'm going to have kids, baby goats, again in 5 months. Satan, my buck, is in rut. That's something you can physically see. You can smell it. Oh my God, you can smell it, because bucks in rut pee all over themselves. It is the most disgusting thing. Apparently that is like an aphrodisiac to female goats. I thank God I am not a female goat. Gross. But so my focus has been reducing numbers with the mental plan that I am growing my numbers. And so this is something, as you are strategic on your homestead, and make no mistake, you have to be strategic on your homestead. So if you're raising for meat, you have to have a plan going in advance on a general amount of meat in order to feed your family, if your goal is to predominantly feed your family from your backyard. So because goats do have a long gestation period, and then it takes them a while to be butcher ready. So you're talking 6 to 8 months before you've got a decent sized goat to feed your family. That's a lot of time, energy, and resources to pour into an animal. Things like rabbits produce exponentially faster, and you could have just, a constant meat supply coming out of rabbits relatively easily with relatively hands-on effort. Chickens, I love chickens. I let mine free range. They're actually, I call it open range. And part of what I allow is I allow my chickens to sit on eggs and hatch out clutches of their own. So I have kind of this always growing flock. I do take losses due to predators. That is something that I plan into my numbers, and I am aware that it's going to happen. So it's just part of the isness of my system. So, but something that is easy to fall into is homestead math, chicken math, goat math, and those numbers, when they start growing, can grow quickly. And so it's something you have to always be aware of. Keep in mind that if you plan on growing your numbers, that you're going to reach a max capacity at some point, to the point where you can no longer care for your animals consistently and properly. that is a danger zone. That is hoarding. That is not healthy for you, your own mental space, your own emotions. It is definitely not healthy for your animals. So I caution you, strongly caution you, to keep your numbers low until you get really secure in what your mission is and how to care for your system properly. And at that point in time, then I would say experiment with growth. Add some more. See how it goes. See how your workload goes. See how you're personally handling it. Because if you're at the point where you don't even want to go outside to care for things, that is a huge red flag that you've taken on too much. So I would rather be in a point where I feel like I could take on more, but don't, than feel like I am so overwhelmed and burned out that I just can't do it anymore. That's not a good space to be in. So goats, they're probably the largest livestock I will ever add to my homestead, and I'm aware that although things like cows would be fun, I joke about camel. I would love to have camel. Realistically, that is far beyond the scope of what is reasonable for my homestead and practical. So you've got to really, there again, it's within your own universe as to what's going to work for you, because what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. So my goats, for the most part, I let them out to free range, much like my chicken flock, is they've got no constraints. So I do have a perimeter fence around 3/4 of my property. They don't necessarily always stick to that, but for the most part, they're pretty close to home, and so because they have proven themselves to be good goats, I allow them to go out, which has helped me as far as my own personal workload, because if they're out and about, I have less poop to scoop, and I have less hay to feed them. And so not only is the animal part of your consideration and your numbers, but your infrastructure is a huge portion of the equation. So just keep all these factors in mind. It's easy to get gung-ho. It's really easy, especially when you're first building your homestead, to want to have all of these layers, to be self-sufficient, to have the milk, the meat, the fiber, the pollinators, the garden, the orchards. And it's also really easy to overwhelm yourself. So take it slow. If I could recommend anything, it would be add one system, like one major addition per year, and that way you have time to learn about it, get your infrastructure in place, get to know the personalities of your animals, get to know whether it's a good fit for you or not, and then move on to the next project. And if you do that, if you move slow and steady, always taking forward steps, but being wise about it, it's going to keep your own personal headspace clean and clear. It's going to help you to be able to focus on your mission. It's going to help you to really evaluate what's right and what's wrong for your system. Because if you jump in there and you throw in everything all at once, well, if you burn out, you can't pinpoint, well, I did great with chickens and rabbits, but bees is too much. Or, fill in the blank. So if you can just really go slow and temper that enthusiasm and really be conscientious and wise with your additions, I guarantee you that you're going to have a much more pleasant homesteading experience. Don't fall for the chicken math that you need every beautiful breed out there. Don't fall for the lie that you need to have rabbit kits every couple weeks in order to produce what you need. Honestly, 52 rabbits a year is an attainable goal. That gives my family one rabbit per week in our on our kitchen table, dining room table, whatever. And then we can, so that way we're not overwhelmed with, oh my goodness, we've got 300 rabbits and we're going to eat nothing but rabbit. Well, no, we want variety. So we want to be able to have chicken. We want to have rabbit. We want to have goat meat. We want to have eggs. We don't want to feel overwhelmed that, oh my gosh, we're eating eggs every night for the rest of our lives. Because then your family doesn't enjoy the process either. It becomes just monotonous and gross. So just like spice is the variety of life, add some variety to your homestead in a smart, slow, and wise way. So I need to get back to milking her because I am almost done. She is being super patient with me, and I'm so thankful for that. But so here in my situation, I am now tied to a teat. And I've avoided that for the most part for 10 months. I've been able to have the luxury of floating in and out and milking whenever I chose. But now that I'm reducing numbers and I am invested in keeping her in milk, so because she doesn't have kids, I am now the milker. And so that's something that I have to keep in my mind and my schedule is this is something that I have to be aware is going to be a part of my day every day, potentially for several months now. So going back to my buck being in rut, so Satan, he's definitely in rut. My girls are in heat. So there's physical characteristics and attributes that they start showing. The girls, they run around flicking their tail and flirting. The bucks make this really funky noise, and I can't even pretend to do it because I would be doing a disservice to it, but they stick their tongue out and do this little chatty noise. They pee all over themselves. Disgusting, but it drives the girls crazy. He is literally crazy. He broke out the other day, mated all my does, so I know that I have to pencil in 5 months, we're going to have more kids. So knowing that, we have actively been reducing our herd numbers and will continue to do so until I am down to just the breeders I intend to keep. And then at that point, when we have kids, they will be welcomed. It won't be an overwhelming situation. I'm not going to be up to my eyeballs in goats. It's going to be a well thought out, strategic, and planned growth. So if I could encourage you in any way, shape, or form, it would be to use your brain as you do this. Don't go with your heart. Don't go with your emotions, because that crazy part of us as homesteaders is going to tell you, you want them all. But I can tell you, as far as the sane end of that, you don't want them all. So that's all I've got for today's. I hope that was of some help and some value. Please do check out my links in the description. Those are easy ways that you can help support our homesteads if you feel so inclined. I appreciate you joining me, and we shall talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.